What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. Another thing that I just want to get out there, because I was thinking about this when I was flying here to Hawaii. I downloaded the Chiefs-Bears game because I didn't watch it live on Friday night, and I saw a bunch of people have different takes, and whether Caleb played well, whether he didn't, and then I saw Ben Johnson's quote of basically like calling the offensive execution on the first couple drives a complete embarrassment. And every industry changes over the course of time, right? Amazon didn't exist 20 years ago in the nature it exists now. Why? Because they were selling books, and now they literally sell everything that's delivered right to your door. But one thing that can't be disputed, when you order something off Amazon, it arrives within 12, 24 hours. Somehow my dumbass orders things that like take 6 days, but for my wife's really good at this. She presses a button and the thing's there in half a day. It's why they run circles around every single company in America. And like, business is still pretty simple. Like, can you do something for me that I want? Do you provide a service that I'm willing to pay for? And Amazon service, let's just be real, is as good as it gets. If you don't like it, you send it back, you press a button. It doesn't get any easier. They are so consumer friendly. And I think sometimes quarterback play, like the NFL is a lot different than it was 20, 25 years ago, right? The game, I've been watching some of that Cowboys documentary. I mean, the 49ers and Cowboys going at it, they were playing with slower, bigger, two-down middle linebackers. Ken Norton Jr., Gary Plummer. The Cowboys played the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Super Bowl with Greg Lloyd. I mean, these are 260-pound linebackers that aren't great space players, but if you run the ball, between the tackles, they will meet whoever you are sending and fucking wreck their world. Those guys don't exist anymore, right? The badass middle linebackers are Fred Warner, who would have been considered small 25, 30 years ago in that era. Well, things changed. But at the end of the day, football still has a lot of similarities that it did back then. Can you be an efficient offense? Can you generate touchdowns in the red zone? Can you convert first downs more often than not? Can you get off the field on defense in the red zone? Are you a good third down defense? Do you have a good pass rush? Are you a good tackling team? Are you a well-coached team? Do you have high-level competitors? Like, there are a lot of similarities. And while spread offense quarterbacks are looked upon differently than they were back in the day, and I would say teams are much more open-minded when it comes to evaluating those players. Look at the best quarterback in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. Where does he come from? Spread offense, Texas Tech. I remember Andy Reid told me, I was like, was that weird for you trying to evaluate this guy? You have West Coast roots, which is like prototypical old school NFL under center with two running backs, a tight end, two wide receivers to this guy running 5 wide receiver sets in college. He said, no, not at all. Actually, it made it easier. I just siphoned the passes that he threw behind the line of scrimmage because those had little to no value in my evaluation of the player. But if he threw it 50 times a game and I removed those 10 passes, it was still 40 passes that I got to evaluate. So back in the day when there's a quarterback coming out, maybe they got 20, 22 attempts every single game in college. Now I get to watch a guy, even if he had 50, 55 attempts and only 80% of them matter to me, that's still 20, 30% more than I used to be able to evaluate guys in the 90s. I was like, damn, I never thought of it that way. And one thing that will never change with quarterback play in the NFL that is a lot different than college is you have to get rid of the football. Because when you are a great player in college, you can play make. You can ad-lib. You can do shit that your opponents cannot do. There was a reason Johnny Manziel beat Nick Saban in the middle of his dynasty. Because in college, you can just play make and you can do things. That doesn't translate to the NFL. It has a couple times. Russell Wilson, I would say, is an outlier player. He was a playmaking guy outside the tackle box. That's what made him up. I mean, it's gotten weird at the end, but a potential future Hall of Famer. And for a stretch of 6 or 7 years, one of the best players in the NFL. He was truly one of the great playmakers in the NFL. Deshaun Watson, for about 2.5 seasons, was very similar. He would destroy you ad-libbing on the fly. making plays outside the pocket. Both those guys held on to the ball way too long. They drove offensive coordinators nuts because 2-step, 3-step, get rid of the ball. They did not do that. They could not do that, but they were so great at their playmaking ability, they made Pro Bowls. And a guy like Russell Wilson, went to the Super Bowl twice. Caleb Williams, I'll promise you this. I give Caleb Williams 8 to 10 games to prove to Ben Johnson that this can work. Because Middlekauff, you're what? We have seen this time and time again in this modern day NFL. You get to going into year 3 to prove you can play, or they will get rid of you. Trey Lance, they traded 3 first-round picks for the guy, and he was on a different team week 1, year 3. Anthony Richardson, honestly, by the time you're listening to this, could be on another team. He was given 2 seasons. Now, Ben Johnson had nothing to do with Caleb his rookie season. But this year, if I was a betting man, if it goes well, obviously he's going to be the quarterback there for a while. But if it doesn't, he's not getting some multi-year leash. That is not the way it works. The rivalries, the marching bands, the upsets, Saturdays just got way more fun. College football is back, baby. Think you know the game? Put your college football knowledge to the test with DraftKings Sportsbook and turn your picks into big payouts. Live betting during the game, rivalry week odds boosts, and so much more. DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. Here's the thing. There is no bigger game than Saturday morning. Texas, Ohio State. I understand Arch has never started a big game. Played a couple last year, but never anything like this. Ohio State lost a ton of guys to the draft. I think this Texas team, if Arch lives up to the hype, poised to win an Natty, I'm taking Texas. I know it's at the shoe. I know it's a tough environment. I just think, as Earl Woods used to tell Tiger Woods, let the legend grow. That's what I would tell Arch Manning. Go win this game, cover that spread, money line, let the legend grow. And here's something special for first-timers, new customers. Bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the code John. That's code John for new customers to get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. And Ben Johnson said the other day, that was basically an embarrassment. That's a joke. I thought we were past this. And every single time he talks about the backup quarterback, and listen, I'm not acting like Tyson Bagent is the next stud player, but I know this, the head coach likes him a lot, talks about him glowingly. And then when you watch him play, you know what he does? He gets rid of the ball quickly. You know what Caleb's problem is? And this is what made him a great prospect in college, at least too many, especially in the media, that kind of, give each other a reach around when you make plays. And listen, I get excited for this too. When you kind of run around and make plays. In the NFL, that doesn't consistently work, especially when your head coach, and this is Shedeur Sanders' problem. Like, you watch Shedeur in college, it's awesome. He is an instinctive player, and he can make a lot of plays. But in the construct of an NFL offense, Kevin Stefanski, the Shanahans, they like everything to be timed to the second. Couple steps, I want you the ball out of your hand because I'm designing the play. I'm in charge. And unless you're Russell Wilson in his prime, you're not good enough to figure this shit out just on your own. And Shedeur definitely isn't the physical talent of Caleb Williams. But those guys' ad-lib ability is like, it's why Shedeur Sanders is the 4th string quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. People are like, oh, he's way better than Dillon Gabriel. And listen, I thought he was a better prospect than Dillon Gabriel. But when you've watched Dillon Gabriel in the 2 games that he's played in the preseason, the ball's in his hands when he's under center, and pretty quickly it's out of his hands. You know who likes that? The head coach. You know who's calling plays in most of these places? The head coach. Ben Johnson, the offense is his baby. And you watch Caleb Williams, there is no disputing his arm talent. And I'm a sucker for arm talent. I like it. Just like the next guy. I come from Andy Reid. We like big arms. But I watched Patrick Mahomes in that game. And listen, I'm not comparing Patrick Mahomes to Caleb Williams. That wouldn't be fair to Caleb. Patrick Mahomes is already probably a top 5 quarterback of all time. I would say that Patrick has basically mastered the position because his playmaking is elite, but what he's great at and what makes him an all-time great is on 3rd and 6, when you need those 7 yards and the play is called and is executed, that ball will be out of his hands on the guy's hand like that. There is no, I'm just going to run out of a pocket that doesn't need to be run out of. You cannot play offense at the highest level and be a good player when you do that. And you watch Shedeur, obviously, he's a rookie. And listen, he's a 5th-round pick. But that's the reason that he's not above Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel, the play's called, he'll run it and the ball's out of his hands quickly. And listen, sometimes people in the front office and the scouting community, we argue with coaching staffs over that. But they value that to the highest degree. And when I watch Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, the offense, no different than Kyle, no different than Sean Payton, no different than some of these highly, tightly wound coaches. The one thing, like I didn't know Ben Johnson that well when he was the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. Why? He talked once a week. Dan Campbell was truly the voice of the team. And honestly, I thought Ben Johnson was kind of reserved. One thing I've really seen his personality being the head coach, like he's kind of a hard ass. Like he actually has some Dan Campbell in him. Kind of has a little Kyle Shanahan into him. Like I was like, damn, he's kind of grown on me. But one thing that will not fly is when the play is called. And even he said this the other day after the game against the Chiefs when they asked him like that sack that happened to Caleb. Like, what do you think? He's like, well, he had the ball in his hands for 5 seconds. Clearly, that was on him. I might be screwing up the quote a little bit, but ultimately, the point is this. It's not going to fly holding on to the football. It 100% will not be tolerated there. And if the Bears do not do well offensively, and if it looks, and I'm not trying to just overreact purely because they're playing the Chiefs, who are, I don't know, dominated the league for 7 straight years and are a defensive team. That's a tough matchup. Caleb should get his ass kicked. But when they're playing other teams, especially week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings, Brian Flores, who's one of the better defensive coordinators, and if he's holding that ball, Sam Darnold did this last year, holding on to that thing, it ain't going to work. And anyone saying that it will is either disingenuous about it because they have like an agenda and they want to be proven right. I would have drafted Caleb Williams number 1 overall too. So I'm not like anti-Caleb here. I don't blame them at all for picking him. Though it's their jobs to get it right, not to have like the media and people that talk about football give them a thumbs up. So like you watch Jaden Daniels, the ball's out of his hands when it needs to be out of his hands. You watch Caleb, sometimes it is and sometimes it is not. And we're going to find out, can that be taught or not? Because we know Ben Johnson is good at coaching offense and we know his offense works and we know they have a really good offensive line. We know they have good offensive pieces. But when you hold on to the football and take sacks, one thing I think that aged poorly is we all thought that Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks were like idiots for getting down on Russell. When behind the scenes, they kept saying like, not all these sacks are on our offensive line. Our offensive line doesn't suck as much as you guys think. It's hard to run an offense with this little guy. And it was always like, shut up, Pete. You got Russell Wilson. And looking back, I can imagine that was a little frustrating, even though there were times like, well, he's so good, you got to deal with it, and you guys were winning. But when you don't win, and toward the end, they weren't winning as much, so like, Russell, you're done. See you. And this is Ben Johnson didn't draft this guy. So you hold on to that football, and that offense doesn't work, see you later. So that's just something to keep. I give it till Halloween. If it's not going well, I mean, it would be like he's not getting all year to start if it's going shitty. If it's going well, yeah, 100%. But they gave that contract. The more and more I thought about them giving the contract to the backup is like, you don't fuck with the quarterback. Even if you're, obviously Ben Johnson, Ryan Poles isn't doing anything Ben Johnson, especially these 6 months, that doesn't want to happen. But specifically with the quarterback, even in places where the GM has a lot of juice, they will lean on their coaching staff when it comes to that position. That head coach loves that backup quarterback because they did not need to give him a contract. And they did that. One, I mean, he's an asset. He's a good player. But also, like, we need a contingency plan if this gets weird. I know everyone's throwing us a parade, and I'm guilty of this too, for that one drive he had against the Bills playing the twos with, heavy legs. How about when they played the Chiefs when they tried? It was a fucking embarrassment.